This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective. All right, welcome to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Today I've got a special guest with me, and I got a special co-host because Brett Big Money Stevens is MIA today. So first I'm going to introduce my co-host, Aaron Gamble. How's it going?
Good.
Glad to have you. Appreciate you helping me out on this one.
Yeah, this is my first time being a co-host, so they'll just have to bear with me.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. Everybody enjoyed your podcast, so
I'll get loosened up.
yeah, I bet. Well, our guest today is Mr. Kim Jones. Mr. Kim, how's it going?
Doing good.
Glad to have you on here. I'm excited to hear some stories and hear about your journey in coon hunting and kind of how you got started and stuff. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from, that kind of thing.
I live Everton, Missouri. Live on Turnback Creek, and got married in 1977. In 1973, I graduated high school, and Dad always had bird dogs, and he said, there ain't gonna be no tree dogs or running dogs, we have bird dogs. And so that's the way it was. Well, when I graduated, I come in with a Walker pup. He said, I thought I told you we don't have hounds. I said, me and the hound can stay, or me and the hound can go. He said, well, I ain't taking care of him. I said, that's fine, I'll take care of him. And that was my start. I got him from the Daniels boys, Doyle and Teddy Daniels, and the pup died on me, and that's where I got my start, was the Walker dogs, and I stayed right with them.
So your first, like with hunting dogs, was bird dogs.
Yes.
You grew up with bird dogs.
Yep. Dad always had a good setter dog.
Okay. So it was quail hunting.
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. They ain't hardly no quail left in this country.
None. Now you might see a single or a pair once in a while. Very few coveys. Very few.
Yeah, I've seen 2 coveys in the last 5 years.
Yeah, they're a thing of the past.
Yeah, for sure. Quail hunting's a big deal back home where I'm from.
Yeah,
for sure. So you got the Walker dog, and how old did it make it before it passed away on you? Was it very old?
No, he was a young dog. He was about 14 months old, just starting to tree, had a tremendous mouth. Mm-hmm. He's a big squall and a loud chop on the tree, but he just got started good, and he got parvo and distempers going through the country.
Yeah.
I thought, boy, I need to give my dogs a booster shot. My buddy didn't, but I gave both my dogs a booster, and they both died. He didn't give one, and his never got it, so.
You think it was something in the shot?
I think it was. I think it was.
Oh, man, that's a bad deal. Right?
Yeah, because
if those shots ain't handled right, they go bad, and it's bad on the dog.
Yeah, I think really the shot's what killed him.
So your young Walker dog died. Now you're back, no hound whatsoever. So what happens now? I
bought one from Mr. Paul Brown up there at Ash Grove. Ugliest pup I ever seen, but was pure coon dog at 6 months old. I mean, he'd run trees on coon, just do it like an old dog.
Yeah. And
he was real nice. I got him killed. So I bought a dog off of Rex Schote up at Miller, and he was a ball-mouthed tree dog and a squall track. Mm-hmm. And he was a nice dog, but he had been messed with some and had some straightening up to do. But me and Doyle Daniels hunted him, and we had some good seasons with him. We'd hunt 6-7 nights a week.
Yeah.
And that's when the coons were high.
Yeah.
I guess I was like a lot of them. I hunted for the money as much as the fun. Mm-hmm. But when them coons are bringing $40 and $50, you stayed after it.
Yeah, you can make a paycheck just killing coons.
They'd try to get me to work overtime. I said, boys, I can make more money hunting than I can working up here.
And it'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah, a lot more.
So at this point, you're just pleasure hunting?
Yeah, I'd competition hunted a little bit, but mostly pleasure.
Just around here, local stuff?
Yeah. And then, it was in the 80s. Coons got thin. I had 2 little boys, and they'd cry to go hunting with me. I'd take them, and I'd be packing them into the dog on the first tree and trying to lead dogs out. And coons was thin. I thought, I'm going to get out a while. So I did. And I was deer hunting pretty hard. And all of a sudden, my oldest boy, Dusty, which he's deceased right now, and then Jake's my middle boy, they said, Dad, let's get some hounds. I said, I don't know if we want to do that or not. Oh, come on, let's get some hounds. You used to have them. I said, yeah, and I've quit. And I said, that's just like offering a drink of whiskey to an alcoholic. And they said, oh, it ain't that bad, is it? Well, I'm still hunting today, and I'm almost 70.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things when you kind of get started in, it's kind of hard to get away from. You know, I quit, you know, when I moved from Alabama to Missouri and stayed quit. Didn't think I'd go back to hunting until this guy brought some plot dogs into a campground I was staying at when I was working a job, and I've been hunting ever since then. So,
my wife, when Rex Jones, good buddy of mine, gave my boys a pair of pups. They were a grandson of Tar Rattler and grandson of Lipper, and they were outstanding dogs. They're still my measuring stick today.
Okay.
Anyway, Rex gave the boys this pair of dogs, and then he gave me a pup. And my wife come to me and said, are you back to hunting? I said, well, I'm just going to help these boys get started. She said, you're not going to stay hunting? I said, no, I'm just going to get the boys started, and then I'll be back out of it. About 6 months later, she said, you're back to hunting, aren't you? I said, yeah, I guess I am. But I said, hon, I'm not going to hunt 7 nights a week no more. I said, if I get carried away, you rein me back in. Because I did. I hunted 7 nights a week. Yeah. And I've been hunting ever since.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about this after we done your podcast, Aaron. And I was thinking about some of these other guys. They were talking about, you know, dogs being good and stuff like that. Some of these guys did have good dogs, but like what you were just saying, that's all they did. They hunted 7 nights a week. When you put a dog in the woods 7 nights a week, something's going to happen, because you ain't going to keep feeding one that ain't 7 nights a week that ain't doing nothing.
If he's got it in, you're going to get it.
Oh, yeah, you'll get it out of him. Yeah. So up to this point, this all been Walker dogs, nothing else, right?
Them 2 dogs, one of them was named Hawk, Hatcher Hill Hawk, and the other one was Jake's Jawjacker.
Okay.
And they was big Walker dogs, big mouth, loud tree dogs. I was hunting Jake's dog for him one night in a hunt, and we had, I think, I don't know, 8 or 10 second place wins on this dog. I couldn't get that first place.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy, I turned to the other and said, you going to tree your dog? He said, well, I can't hear him. He said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, that loudmouth Walker dog, I can't hear my dog. And he was an exceptionally loud dog.
Yeah. Huh. So at what point, I guess, what was the next dogs you had? You had the pup that you were starting plus this
he's
dog?
called Wild Bill.
Okay.
And he was pretty tight on the ground, but was a humongous tree dog. Okay. He was an ever breath, the kind that you like. Mm-hmm. He was loud. He was high pitched, but he was loud. And once he lit up a tree, he never shut up.
Now, I want to ask about the Hawk dog. That was Dusty's dog.
That was Dusty's dog.
I never hunted with him, but Coy Cole always told me, of course, he's gone too. He said that was a very top-notch hound.
Him and Jawjacker's been my measuring stick for years.
Now, he was tight-mouthed, correct?
Could be. He got more open as he got older. Now, Jawjacker was open. Big ball on the ground. And had a exceptional nose. Hawk had a good nose. You just didn't know it because he'd drift through the country and bam, he was tree. Yeah. And I always said he packed a watch on his wrist because he might be a little bit behind, but the next thing you know, he was treed in the hunt and got a gun and beat you.
Yeah, that's the right kind to have.
I know he was hunting against Leroy Burton one night, and Leroy was beating him with the Blackie dog, and Blackie was a top dog. Anyway, right there at the end of the hunt, Hawk come treed, had the coon, beat him, and Leroy was tough to beat. But
yeah. Huh. So what happened with the Wild Bill dog that you had? Did you competition hunt that dog some, or?
I tried to. He was so tight they'd get me for stillmouth.
Oh, okay.
I took him up to Nevada. He treed 2 coon on him. That one boy said, I ain't hearing that dog open on the ground. I said, well, I struck him. I said, I heard you strike him, but he was coming on the tree when you struck him. And so I treed 2 coon. They voted, and they put me out. So I quit competition hunting.
Wait a minute. Because the dog didn't bark on the ground?
Right.
They scratched?
Yep.
The old UKC rules, the dog had to open. If they just struck and fell trees so many times, you scratched.
Oh, I don't guess I ever hunted a steel mouth dog.
That ain't on there anymore, is it, Kim?
No.
That rule's gone, right? Yeah.
No, that rule's gone now. You don't have to. You can hunt a steel mouth if you want
But
to.
they scratched you back then.
They scratched me. He treated 2 coon on and made them like it, and they put me out. So I quit competition hunting, and I ended up selling him to Junior Herd.
So what dog did you have after that?
I hunted the Jawjacker dog for Jake, and I helped Dusty in the competition with the Hawk. He was hunting PKC. I'd go handle him for Dusty when he was working, or if he had other things he needed to be doing besides hunting, so I'd take him for him.
Yeah. After that set of dogs there, where did you go to next as far as dogs?
Well, I was hunting the Jawjacker dog for Jake a lot. And like I say, I don't know how many second places we had, bunch. And one night there was a hunt in Greene County, and Dusty said, "You gonna take Jawjacker up there tonight?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't need another second place." He said, "Won't you let me take him up there?" I said, "Well, go ahead." Hawk was done grinded out. So Dusty took him up there, and he won the hunt that night. And that made him night champion. He won night champion that night, and I said, "Well, we just had the wrong handler on the dog."
Yeah.
So that's the way that worked out.
I probably had a bunch of them. The wrong handler on the dog.
About every time I go.
Yeah.
Dusty, he had bought a female from Steve Lee, and I was trying to think the dog she went back to. Big dog out of Michigan. Can't say the name. Sackett Jr.
Sackett
She was directly out of Sackett Jr., and he bred her, and he kept a female called Jill.
Okay.
Hatcher Hill Jill. And I hunted her for him quite a bit, and I was on the cast that night. That was a red female I was telling you about.
Okay.
And there's 3 Walker dogs and a red female. And them other 2 guys started poking fun at that guy, and he's a nice kid, but they was working on him pretty hard. And I said, "Now, wait a minute. You boys don't know a dang thing about this boy's dog. She may be a real thumper." He said, "Did you ever see one?" I said, "No, but I know there's got to be some." And they was right. She ought to have been left in the timber. She wasn't worth 15 cents. And so that got me to thinking. I thought, if I've got a good bred red pup and I hunted it like I do my Walker dogs, could I get one to turn out?
Yeah.
So I went to looking, and I looked for about 2 years, went and tried dogs. And I thought, I don't want to start out with a puppy. I want to hear something go. I want to hear his mouth. I want to see how he hunts. And I could not get nothing to suit me around here.
So up to this, before you finish your story, up to this point, though, you had only been hunting Walker dogs since you got out of high school.
Strictly Walker dogs.
And had you been around very many Redbones at the
No,
time?
hadn't been around any.
Okay, just the
Yep.
one there.
Anyway, that buddy of mine, Rex Jones, he had been up, is either Waverly or Greencastle, I don't remember which one it was, to the World Hunt, and Yellow River Red and
I don't know.
Reverend Red. They was both up there, and they was dueling in the world champion. And Rex said, that Yellow River Red, he said, I could just look at him and tell he's a coon dog. He said, now Reverend Red's beautiful. But he said, that Yellow River Red looks like a coon dog. Well, he come close to winning that world up there. So I got in contact with Harry O'Median. And he was, the next year, he was going to be down at Ada at the World Hunt. And I went down there and I met him. And he's the type of guy, when you meet him, you just automatically like him. He's a good guy.
He's like Aaron.
Yeah, kinda.
Could be my brother.
But anyway, Harry's had a female, Yellow River Music.
Okay.
She's the only red female that ever won Autumn Oaks. Okay. She went up there and put on a show. And she was a nice female. I hunted with her, big screaming mouth, loud. And they had bred her to Oklahoma Twister. So I booked a pup. I didn't ask what the price was. I said, I want a pup. And John Delcamp had bought a pup. And John Delcamp asked me, he said, would you run my pup with yours down there? I said, yeah, I like to run 2 pups together on the farm. Mm-hmm. So he brought his down. We run that pair of pups. And I called that dog Hoss. Nice dog, big mouth. would go hunting like you wouldn't believe. But he was pretty tight, and he was a sorry tree dog. I asked a guy that ended up with him, I said, did they ever catch you with the 2 on the tree? He said, no, but I got so sick of them putting it on me. And he won the Purina. After I sold him to John Delcamp, and then John sold him to Holly Parker in Kentucky, and he was an open dog. But as a 2-year-old, he was a coon dog. I never released him. I'd come off a tree, I'd say, hoss heel. He fell right there in my leg. Whether I killed him, the coon, or I left it, he walked out with me. And anyway, he sold him to Holly Parker, and he won the Purina race for the Red End that year with him. And the dog was sick 40 days. They kidnapped him. He found him in a corn crib and was just about dehydrated when he found him.
During a hunt, they took him off a tree?
He was in Virginia.
Oh.
And he lost a dog, and he couldn't pick him up. That's when we had the old beep beeps.
Okay.
He thought, my batteries are bad. So he went and got new batteries, come back, couldn't pick him up nowhere. And he happened to think he had OnStar on this dog. So he called the number, and they said, this number is in such and such Tennessee. He said, you don't understand. I'm hunting in Virginia. I believe it was Virginia. They said, well, I don't care where you're at, but the number you want us to dial is in Tennessee. And he gave him the address, and they found him in a barn behind an old man's house.
Oh, my goodness.
And he like to died over that one. And he ended up dying. He swallowed up one of them little corn cobs and some junk, scraps.
Yeah.
And it twisted, and he got toxic, and it killed him.
Golly.
He was quite a dog. Sure was.
This is the second person I've had on the podcast that talks about a dog that's been stole or moved, took off a tree, tied behind a barn.
What you said, like the OnStar? What did he have?
Some kind of a chip in him, OnStar chip. Tracking.
Wow.
And he said it sure worked. It saved the dog.
Yeah.
And then he got toxic after he swallowed that corn cob. But he had females lined up to breed to this dog. He called me. He was down at Battle of the Breeds on the last Purina hunt, and he was winning the cast. And he treed the dog, and the guy said, what are you doing? He said, I'm treeing my dog. He said, you got the cast one. You don't need to tree him. He said, I need points. He said, well, I hope you know what you're doing. And they got up there, and he's treating a big old dead alum. He said, man, mister, I hope you ain't made a bad mistake. And Holly throwed the light on, said, there he is. And the guy booked a breeding right then. Holly called me, and he said, Kim, he said, what did I do? I said, what do you mean what do you do? He said, this is a walker dog he's wanting to breed the hoss. I said, you just got paid the big compliment. But he was a nice dog.
Yeah. Yeah, just go ahead with your timeline there.
Well, the next deal, after I'd run that dog for John Delcamp, he brought me down a dog, and I called him Sandrock.
Okay.
Had a big white place on his chest. He went back to Sandy Creek Jake. He was a grandson of Sandy Creek Jake. And he was psycho. Yeah. I mean, this dog, when he was on, he was unbeatable. But if he wasn't, you just supposed to go to the house.
Yeah.
But he's something else. I ended up sending him back up to Harry Median. He liked one win, having him grand, and he hung the fence and killed himself.
Oh, my goodness.
So it just couldn't keep them together, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, just a bad luck there for sure.
But he was a full brother to Barnyard Harry, which won the Red End of World Hunt in, I believe it was Virginia when they had it up there. Mm-hmm. But
what years is this? What
now I can't do the years. My brain just don't work that good. I'm not like Aaron Gamble.
Oh my goodness.
You're probably talking, but in the 2000s, correct?
Yeah,
probably tens.
Yeah.
Is that when you swapped to the Red Dogs in the 2000s? Or was it?
Yeah, somewhere in there around 2000.
Okay.
It'd have to be because Dusty was hunting hawk because he was at Nevada, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would have been 2002 or 3.
Well, I won't tell you the boys who his name was. He was a PKC boy and had a good dog, and I was hunting a Sandrock dog, and we cut him in there, and he'd be by himself 99% of the time. And he split to the right, he struck, bam, he's treed. We go in there, he's got a coon, And the other dogs got treed in there and had a den tree. And Dusty Escott boy said, "How you like getting your butt beat by a red dog?" And it just
didn't sit well with him, did it?
no.
Would it set well with anybody?
I started these red dogs, and it was kind of, not an oddity.
Yeah.
But when I started winning, they didn't want to go back in the clubhouse. They was embarrassed. I said, "Boys, that red stops at the skin. They're just a hound."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a red bone. They was embarrassed. They didn't want no part of it.
Oh, that's crazy. So what was you sold that dog, he got hung. What dog did you have next?
The next dog I got from Jeff Murphy, and that's a good set of guys up there in Illinois. They're Jeff Murphy, Dean Doherty, Darren Gear. They're just good guys. I wish they was a little closer. But anyway, I got a female off of Jeff called Chili. I called her Turnback Creek Chili. And I don't know how many wins, but I had 2 seconds. I hadn't got the first yet. I was wanting a night champion out. She was had a big mouth. And I started thinking, I want to raise a litter of pups out of her before she gets killed.
Yeah.
Anyway, a good friend of mine, Kenny Hastings, had the Steve-O dog. Tremendous tree dog. And we bred Chili to Steve-O. While I had her, I bred her to him 4 times. And the pups every time worked. Kenny ended up keeping, he had Pearl, he had Chester, had Skeeter. I kept a dog. When we had that first litter of pups, my daughter went down there. She was just little. And she said, "Daddy, you're going to keep that one right there." And I said, "Which one?" She said, "That one that looks like a little pumpkin." And he was the color of a pumpkin. And that's what she named him. I couldn't handle that. I shortened it up to Punk. So that's the dog I kept. She picked him. And I kept that out of the first litter. And he went on. I granted him out. He was a nice hound. Probably the hardest, loudest, best tree dog I've ever owned or ever seen. When you went in there to him, he'd be white from head to toe. Foam everywhere, and loud.
Yeah.
He's a very loud hound.
Yeah. And what did you say he was out of?
He was out of Chili and Steve-O.
Okay.
And Chili still now is number 5 in historical.
Okay.
She was a good reproducing female.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Now, was he tight-mouthed, or did he trail a lot?
He was fairly tight. He had the sorriest track mouth ever put on a hound. He'd squeak and squawk, and when he'd come on the tree, they'd bet any amount of money. That wasn't the dog that was running that track. I was in Brazil, Indiana. I struck him in there about a quarter. He come on the tree. He had a good screaming locate. He come on the tree. And that guy said, "Well, you've treed off that Walker dog." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Ain't a red dog alive sounding like that in there." I said, "Mister, that's my dog." Well, he said, "I don't think so." I said, "I don't know how much money's in my billfold, but if you want to make the wager, we'll just make it right here and we'll go see what dog it is." And we got in there, and he didn't take the bet. He said, "I want to apologize." He said, "I never heard a dog sound like that." And he was super loud.
Huh, but kind of squeaky on the ground.
He had a sorry track mouth. You just can't describe how bad it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, I've heard a few that you just didn't sound like the same dog when it come on the tree.
Oh, when he come on the wood. I'm serious. He's probably the loudest tree dog I was ever in with.
Wow. Well, that says a lot. You've been hunting a long time, so.
Yeah.
Was you fighting flies?
Yeah, I had a.
He's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what dog did you have next?
Let's see. I'm trying to think here.
Now, Punk, that's just been 7 or 8 years ago,
Yeah.
10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember you had him at Wentworth one night.
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah. I didn't PKC hunt him much, but I had some buddies that took him some PKC hunts and done some good with him.
Yeah, this was at, this may have been a sectional hunt or something, but I think you hunted him that night.
Cletus Applegate called me one night. He's a good friend of mine. He's passed away. He said, "They're having a redbone hunt down there at Rogersville or somewhere down that area." He said, "Do you care if I take Punk?" I said, "No, just have at it." He went down there with Gear Dixon, and Cletus won the hunt with him. Of course, I think he won a light. I don't know what else with it, but That dog absolutely loved Cletus. I mean, when he smelled Cletus, he'd almost do backflips. I mean, they really got along good.
Yeah.
And same way with the Crow dog.
Huh.
But I still had the Punk dog. He was getting older when I got Crow. And I got Crow from Scott Stevens.
As a pup? Or?
As a puppy.
Okay.
He called me up, and he said, you interested in a pup? I said, well, no, sir, I really not. I've got all the dogs I need right now. He went to telling me about this pup. I said, all right, you got my attention. He was all my breeding coming full circle.
Uh-huh.
I said, yeah, I'm interested. I said, what do you want for him? He said, that's the good part. He said, I don't want nothing for him. I want to give him to you. I said, well, I'm not a charity case. I'll buy him. And he said, no. He said, I want to give him to him. He said, I just want you to promise me make coon dog out of it. And I said, well, if I like him, I will. If I don't, I'll move him on.
Yeah.
He said, fair enough. So I said, when do you want me to come get him? He said, well, that's the other good part. He said, I'm going to bring him to you, but I want to hunt with you a night up there. I said, okay. So he brought him up, and I looked at him. I told my wife, I said, boy, that's an ugly pup. I don't know if I can hunt him or not. And it just started going from there. He was aggravating, but there's just things about him I liked.
Yeah.
And I think the Punk dog was hurt, and he was about 5 months old, and I took him hunting. I'd messed with the cage coon with him, got him barking on it a little bit, and I took him hunting by himself. He treated the coon that night, and I videoed it, and I sent it to Kenny Hastings. About 2 nights later, phone rings, and I believe it was Cartwright from up there by Chicago. He called and he said, here, you've got a pup for sale. I said, no, sir. I said, I got a pup, but he ain't for sale. I said, how'd you even know I had him? He said, you're all over the internet. I said, well, I didn't put it there. Well, I got to thinking it was Kenny Hastings put it on there. And I didn't sell him. I kept him. And he went from there.
Yeah. And this is Crow, right?
Yeah, that's Crow.
And that's the dog you're currently...
That's the dog I'm hunting right now.
So let's talk about Crow's 5 months old. He trees his first coon. How did he progress as time goes on as far as getting going?
He was just from that night on, he was straight. He messed with some possums later on. He covered a dog in a night hunt on a possum.
Yeah. Couldn't
do nothing, and he got to messing with possums. I had to break him off that.
They didn't hunt him with creeper, did they?
I doubt it.
He really wasn't so bad about treeing one, but if another dog started one, he'd tree it just like that.
Huh.
He's a competition dog. He likes to compete.
Yeah, yeah. So how old was he before you put him in his first hunt?
We took him, Cletus. I was having some trouble. I've got some health trouble, and I was down, and Cletus said, let me take that dog hunting for you a week or two. Mm-hmm. And he took him up and hunted him a couple of weeks. He said, we need to put that dog in a hunt. I said, Cletus, he's too young for that. No, he said, let's put him in a hunt. So put him in a hunt. He won the whole thing that night with 25-plus points. I think that's 4 or 5 casts, but it was one of them bad nights, and he won the whole hunt with 25-pluses. Boy, that's terrible. He said, well, that just gives 1,000.
Yeah, win's a win.
So,
yeah.
And we went from there. We took him down to the Winter Classic, and we placed him, I think, 10th down there in the open.
Okay.
And it was kind of weird. It's a 4-dog cast. Cletus handled him Friday night, and I handled him Saturday. And at the end of the deal, Crow won the cast, and it was 2 walkers, an English, and Crow. And that guy hunting the English, he said, well, he said, I guess we're going to have to give it to the red dog. I said, you didn't give him nothing. I said, he earned every bit of it. You didn't give him nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next night, he treed the only coon, and he treed another coon, and a walker dog come in there and just jumped right in the middle of him. Well, now, Crow's very easy going. He'll tree with anything, pups, face barking him, on him, as long as they don't bite him. And he put the walker dog off. Well, the judge said, you're scratched. I said, is all that walker dog? He said, well, it might have been, but I couldn't see it, so I'm going to just scratch you both. Well, it's 3-dog cast that left him hunting by himself.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm going to stay with you on this cast. And he never treated another coon. I know Gingrich come by me the next day. He said, "Well, you squeaked by. I think you got 10th." I said, "Well, I'd rather squeak and squawk."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you also, when he was fairly young, you come up to I think it was a $250 entry UKC hunt
Super Slam.
Because me and Donnie guided and judged. Well, Donnie guided and judged it, I think.
Yeah.
Hillis.
Yeah.
And you won that, and I don't think he was 14 or 15 months old then.
He was just young. I went up there to guide. It was a $200 entry.
$250.
Is that what it was?
$250. I think $2 or $250. I think it was $250.
Anyway, I was just going to go up there and guide for him because I didn't want to put him in nothing like that. Well, I got up there and there's only 3 dogs entered, and I'd hunted all 3 dogs. They said, "Won't you get in?" I said, "All right." So I got in, and we was getting ready to leave, and Cletus and another guy was there talking. And he said, "Which one of them Walker dogs going to win that cast?" Cletus said, "Ain't no Walker dog going to win that cast. That little red dog will win that." They made a wager on it. Don't know what it was. And I come in that night, and I had the win. I was behind. They treed in a mulberry tree, and he'd put his coon in the hole to the left. Then he went over to them dogs, and I thought, "Yeah, this ain't no good. I needed one by myself." And Laura Grisham, she said, "Kim, you hear Crow? I treed him." And she said, "You hear where he's at?" I said, "Yeah, he's up there to them other dogs." She said, "I don't think so. I think he's by himself." We got up there. He was left-handed about 50 yards, and he had a coon. They didn't, and I won that there. It was a super slam. I think he won $680 that night.
And about how old was he then? Do you remember?
15 months old or something like that.
Not very
No,
old.
he wasn't very old.
just
I know.
young.
I remember the hunt. 'Cause like I said, we judged it. And
Yeah.
He was not old.
No, he wasn't very old.
So, have you hunted him much in PKC at all?
He put him in the only PKC hunt he was in.
Yes, that is right. Yeah, I called him and said, "You ain't doing nothing. Come down and I'll hunt him for you." That was at Wentworth, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did we do? I can't even remember the hunt. Normally, I can remember.
You didn't win.
Yeah, and it was a red bone, so I had no reason to remember what I'd done.
So, what else has? I know you've got him. You got him qualified a few times for the TOC, and
I've qualified him every year since it's opened.
since the TOC's open.
He's been qualified every year.
Is it any other big hunts he's won or been in?
He made it up to Greencastle up there to that 2 Fat Labs, and that's when I found out the dog was sick.
Yeah.
I made it up there. The first tree come off of it, and I mean, Jeff Murphy was with me, and he said, "Man, that dog's hot." And I said, "Yeah, and it's not that hot." I mean, he was down in the mud just like a hog trying to get cooled off, and didn't do no good up there that night. Every dog there treed 2 coon, but the Bonnie female from North Missouri, she won it. She got the first strike. Nice female.
Okay.
A legitimate strike. Wasn't no Bible.
Yeah.
It was a legitimate strike, and she won the cast.
Okay. So you're on the verge of doing something with Crow that ain't been done with the Redbone. You're just a few cast wins away from making him a Hall of Fame.
I made him a Grand 5 out of Girard, Kansas, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That made him Grand 5.
Okay.
And I need 5 more to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. But he's got a little bit of health issues, right?
Yep, he does. He's got one side. Me and him both on the same heart medicine, you might say.
Okay. So he's having some heart issues.
Yep. Yeah. He don't have the wind that he did. It's really knocked the dog back. This dog, if they went in there and all the dogs covered a mile, he covered 3. He was just in there just everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's how he'd treat them coon.
Huh.
He hunted 3 times harder than anything else out there. Covered lots of ground.
Yeah. And with his heart issue, it's just knocked him back.
Yeah. The other night with Randy Burton, I think when I looked at the Garmin, he was over 1,000 yards in there.
Yeah. Well, he's got to go.
He still tries to go. I was at Coal Camp. I won't mention names, but dogs treated possum. I took some minus. They treated the possum. Crow treated the coon. I had 18 minutes to hunt by myself. We cut him. He went 1.5 miles and never got a bark. When the hunt was over, I told the guy, I said he'd be treating 5. Well, I missed it. He's treating 8. I've been just having some bad luck on these casts.
Yeah. He also drew Big Country at the zones and beat him to get into the top 100, correct?
I beat him at Marshall, Illinois, up there.
But wasn't that...
that was UKC World Hunt.
That was at the top 100? Or was that the zones to
that
get
was a zone to go
That's
there.
what I was thinking.
The Big Country dog, probably the most impressive hound I've ever rode with of any breed.
You're not the first person I've heard say that.
I mean, this son gun was not, and that John Strickland is a nice guy. He found 2 of my coons.
Yeah.
And didn't have to, but he did. He said, here's your coon right here. Nice guy, nice dog, good combination.
Yeah. Yeah, they say he's got a big mouth on him.
Very big. And I had a guy say, oh, that dog's mean. There's 4 male dogs treed on a tree the size of a telephone pole, and there wasn't nothing went on.
Yeah.
Just treeing. That was it.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. They say dogs are mean, and then you end up finding out something different.
Normally it's because they lose.
Yeah.
Rex Jones, that buddy of mine, he told Dusty when he was a boy, he said, now, Dusty, I'm going to tell you something. He said, when you get a good dog, they're going to go to running him down and trying to pick things wrong. And they said, oh, Hawk was mean. Hawk wasn't mean at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they just couldn't take getting beat.
Now, you called him Hatcher Hill Hawk a few times, and yours are turned back.
Yep.
Where did the Hatcher Hill, where'd that come from?
Rex tried to give me this dog. Jake took 2 pair of pups and raised them, and then at 6 months, Rex was going to get picked back, and he was going to take that Hawk dog. And east of Rex's house, there's a great big old brushy hillside over, and it's called Hatcher Hill.
Okay.
And that's where the name come from, Hatcher Hill Hawk. But when he went to come pick his pup up, he tried to give me Hawk. He's trying to get me back in the game. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So Dusty's birthday was coming up. He said, well, I'm going to give him Dusty for his birthday present. And that's how that all come about.
Yeah, I just was curious because yours are turned back and they were Hatcher Hill. Now, we was talking about Old Crow. You drew Kent Daniels at the TOC.
Yeah.
With this slip female, and if anybody knows her, she can be tough.
She's very tough.
First strike, deep, fast, get a coon treat, and Kent's exact words was he took us to school. Said he took 3 last strikes, but treated 3 coon by himself, and I think he had almost 500 plus, if I remember right, 450 or
475.
Okay. Plus, but anyway, Kent said he put it on him. Well, his exact words was he took us to school.
Well, I made a mistake up there that weekend. He scored 475 that night. He looked good. And they kept talking about, boys, if you get scratched for fighting, you're done. You're done. Well, Crow will take anything but something chewing on him. Well, I drew the Walker female the next round, and, man, I could hear it. Man, she was right up in her just roaring and carrying on. Got by the first tree, the next tree, Crow got treed in there, and he was in a den tree. She come in there and covered him. Boy, I heard it. I went in there, and he had a den tree, and he said, well, circle it up. I said, withdraw the red dog. He said, what are you doing that for? You're leading. I'd treat the first coon. I said, withdraw him. I said, I don't want to scratch, and I think I can get through with 475, because I said, she goes chewing on him, he ain't going to take it.
Yeah.
And he said, she's just bluffing. I said, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So I withdrew, and I was just 25 points under the bubble. Didn't get to go.
Now,
so I shot myself in the foot there.
Yeah.
Now, I went to the TOC with him this year as his backup handler, and the first night was horrendous. I think that's the way I describe it. But now the second night, we went down to La Plata and hunted, and we was in coon that night. And he treated 3 by himself, got beat. Kind of got beat up. I don't know, a dog got treated through the country, and I think they treat a house cat, or I think they treat a house dog, but that's neither here nor there. But he treated 3 by himself that round. I know because I watched it. And you talk about screwing yourself. Well, I thought he screwed himself there because there'd been a walker dog treat for a while, and he treats Crow I thought, Kim, you're a nut job. That dog's with that Walker dog.
He said, he's with that other dog. I said, well, I thought he was left-handed. Of course, I don't hear out one of my ears very good.
And we go in there, and he's 15 foot from him in a different tree and had a coon.
So,
Well, that's pretty good hearing. That's pretty good hearing.
Little luck there.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, when I say 15 foot, I'm talking 15 foot.
Yeah.
And both trees were big, and somehow they did not even touch. It was the luckiest thing you ever seen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I just knew, I thought, well, he's going to take 125 minus, because he treated him after that dog. But anyway, he had a coon, but anyway, and then turned him loose and treated a double.
Yeah.
They were just in a few minutes.
It was an exciting cast.
It
that
was.
night.
We treated 7 or 8 coons.
We didn't get the wind slip, and I've had a bunch of them right there. Just right there, miss it by 25 points. They're just something weird.
Yeah.
But Crow's got a half-brother up in Michigan called Badger. He won the Purina race. And he's got a half-brother down there at Billy Ray Starks in Arkansas that had the old original Crow dog, and her name's Dove. He won the red into PKC with her.
Okay.
So
That's a winning litter then.
the old Crow dog produced, and he's out of that Barnyard Harry, which he produced.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you can get 2 wins tonight on him. Or at least one.
I'd settle for this one because I went out there this morning to feed him. I went hunting with Randy Burton the other night, and everything was fine. I went out there to feed him this morning. He's on 3 legs. I looked his foot. It's all swelled up. I thought he snake bit. And I couldn't find a hole in it nowhere, no thorn, It just swelled up. So I put him on some aspirin. I put him on an antibiotic. And I come back for a little bit later, and he's walking on it. So I'm going to give him some more aspirin before the hunt. And I'm going to try round 1. If he makes it through that, we'll just see.
Yeah.
Now, okay, but didn't you win a cast here last few nights or two, too?
Nope.
I know you went to Gerard, but I thought you won the other night, they said here.
Nope. No, I won here before I went to Gerard down here.
Okay.
At Aurora.
I was thinking you had won a cast in between Gerard and here.
Nope. I had 4 that I should have won.
No.
So is this the club you mainly have always hunted out of, or
No.
another one?
No.
Where do you normally hunt?
We've got a club up at Greenfield, Dade County Coon
Yeah,
Hunters.
okay.
And then I'm also a member at Greene County.
Okay.
And I go down to Seneca. I go down to Wentworth.
Well, you hear people talk, especially on these podcasts, about different parts of the country and about it being tough, and West Tennessee and places like that. But I'm gonna tell you, this part of the country, especially like in, maybe not so much in UKC because dogs don't draw out together, but in PKC, I mean, you might draw out with world champions, or this is tough part of the country to win casts like
In the
that.
4-state area, you could go down and you might draw out with Cheyenne Cummings, Lane Denny, Gear Dixon, Brett Daniels, Randy Burton, Kent Daniels, Garrett Miller, Blaze Bowers. You have the chance of drawing out with some tough dogs and competitors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy just to go to a local hunt and get a win.
Not around here. Not, I showed up at a hunt at Wentworth one night, and there was 2 world champions and the 4th place world champion. Now, how many times can you say you go to a local club and have 2 world champions in the 4th place?
No,
I mean, that's unheard of.
I don't get to draw against Aaron very often because he don't come hunt UKC much.
But I did notice he didn't mention my name there when he was reading off his list.
Look right there, Aaron Gamble.
Oh, okay, maybe he did.
Rex Jones, Jerry Crane.
Well, I wanted to say that because I listen to all the coon hunting podcasts. They're all good. I like listening to all of them because that's what I like doing. And I hear people talk about, West Tennessee, Northern Alabama, parts of Kentucky being tough areas. But I'm going to tell you, this area here, when you talk about the handlers, the dogs, and especially down in here, the terrain that you're hunting in, it's pretty tough. Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Went up there to the TOC up in Iowa, and it was I got beat on Friday night by a boy down here, Mike Stepp. He was hunting a Walker dog, and it come down to me and him right there at the end, and Crow's in a hole, and his dog, Junior's, got a coon. He won the cast that night. I went the next night, and I drawed out. I drawed 3 Walker dogs. course, Crow thinks he's a walker dog half the time. He don't know what red dogs are. But anyway, we lined him up and cut him loose. And a male dog out of Nebraska wheeled and started just eating me and Crow up. And I'd never turned him loose. I still had him by the collar. And the judge said, "You're scratched, both of you." And I said, "No, sir." I said, "I'd never turned that dog loose, and you can't scratch me unless he's loose." And he wasn't fighting. And the guy told him, he said, "It was all that walker dog right there." He said, "Well, go ahead and turn him loose." I thought, heck, is he going to go hunting?
Yeah.
And he went in there about 400 yards and didn't say much, and kabam, he's treed. He's got a coon. And I was trying to think of that guy's name. He hunted a walker dog out of Indiana Outlaw. He had won, I think, 4th in the world. He'd won a bunch of PKC. He was a pretty well-known dog. Mm-hmm. And it come down to me and him there at the end, and Crow had a coon and he had a den.
Yeah.
And I shot myself in the foot. I treated him on a dead tree. It was my fault. I thought it was still open, but it was dead.
Yeah.
So I took a 125 hickey there. One guy said, "Man, how come you tree on that?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That tree's dead." I said, "Oh, crap."
Yeah.
So I scored, I think, with him. I think I had, it was either 650 or 750 that night.
Yeah.
But that was quite a deal. Brett Daniels called me the next day. Well, I thought it was funny when we got back to the clubhouse. Me and Rex walked in there, and people come up and said, "How'd you do?" I said, "Won my cats." He said, "What'd the outlaw dog look like?" I said, "Pretty good." After about the 8th or 10th person that asked me, I turned to Rex. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I don't know." It was late. We was tired, and I went in and told the master hound. I said, "I don't know if that'll be enough to get in or not. We're going to the motel room." I said, "Call me if we got in." So he called me, said, "You was a bubble, you made it." I said, "Okay." We was going home the next day, and Brett Daniels called me, and he said, "You got your hat on yet?" And I said, "What?" He said, "You don't know, do you?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "You won against Indiana Outlaw." He said, "He's a big name dog." I said, "Really?" I said, "Good thing I didn't know it. I'd probably choked."
Well, we've covered quite a bit of ground there, and we've been at it, believe it or not, almost an hour. What else there you wanted to cover?
I wanted to thank Gene All Hands and Value Pack Dog Feed. They've sponsored me now for over a year. And real good people. Gene's treated me real good, and I just want people to know that's a good dog feed.
Okay. Anything else we missed?
What about breeding? What if somebody wants to breed to him? Do you want to?
Yep.
Do you want to breed any females or not?
No, I don't want to just breed anything. They need to be able to tree a coon. Okay. Crow's I've got 4 pups there at the house out of him. Matter of fact, one left there today, went to Arkansas. And I've got another one I'm getting ready to start. He was the run of a litter from Mike Stevens down there by Chadwick. He was the runt, and he's no runt no more. This son's big. Got a big old chest on him and a big screaming mouth. And going to be a tree dog, I think.
Yeah. So have you bred him a bunch, or?
Not a whole lot.
Okay. So
there's just not many red females up here to breed. I had a Travis Sturks from Iowa come down the other day, and he bred a nice female to him, and he's got a litter of pups up there. I think he said the other day he's got 1 left.
Okay.
Now, is he performance or super staked?
He's performance. He's not super staked, but he is PKC registered.
Okay.
So all the pups I got at the house, they're super staked. I wanted to super stake them.
Yeah.
So he's profile too then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to pay the $200, they can, and had a bitch that was, they could super stake.
There's a lot of them. Well, let's see. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of them left. The one left today, and he was super staked, and all the rest of them they're all performance and super staked.
Okay. Well, if someone's interested in getting a hold of Mr. Kim, you can get a hold of me through the podcast, and we'll put you in touch with him. If you've got a good female that you think would meet the criteria, you can get her bred and have a good litter of puppies. Did we miss anything that we need to cover?
I don't guess.
You've been quiet this whole time.
Well, I've been listening.
Okay. It's a little odd.
Well,
let
me ask
we did miss something.
Okay.
We're at the TOC up there, and we're hungry. The hunt's over. We got we got beat or got snuggled, whatever you want to call it. He said, let's go eat. And I said, all right, where are you going to eat? He said, let's go down to Taco Bell. So I'm in the right-hand lane. It's, what, 1 o'clock in the morning?
At least.
There's not a soul.
The only thing left would be Taco Bell, be open.
There's not a car in sight nowhere. Well, I'm in the wrong lane. I'm in the right-hand lane. I said, not a problem. I just wheeled her left, and we headed towards Taco Bell. Here come lights. State Patrol. Pulls me over and wants to know, said, what are you boys doing? I said, we've been coon hunting. He said, you been drinking? I said, no, sir. I sure haven't. He talked to her a little bit more. He said, you sure you boys ain't drinking? I said, no, we've been coon hunting. He said, come back to me back here in the car. So he gets me back there in the patrol car. And he said, I don't smell it now. I said, smell what? He said, I smelled alcohol when I walked up to that window. I said, no, that was my buddy. I said, he was taking a bath in that hand sanitizer.
I kind of figured, put 2 and 2 together whenever he said he didn't smell it no more.
He got tickled. He said, oh, that's a new one on me there. He said, you boys go have a good night. And just, that's it.
Yeah, I wondered. I thought, why didn't he take him to the car for?
Yeah.
He said, I don't smell it in here. I said, smell what? He said, alcohol. I started laughing.
Yeah. So that was that was the first time I went with him.
He got stopped.
Of course, I've known him for 30 years, but never done anything with him per se. But he called me and said, come up and be my backup handler. And so I said, well, I'll do it. And so anyway, and then we did, and then almost got arrested for hand sanitizer.
And when we drove out Friday night, didn't know none of them boys. And this one said, oh, my God, we've drugged the comedian.
Yeah, that's what he called me.
They knew him.
Aaron is known far and wide.
Yep.
There's another guy that I know that's in Alabama that knows him, and we were talking one day, and he said, wait a minute, does he hunt a blue dog and he come down here to the truck? I said, that's him. That's him.
Now, I do want to ask a serious question. What about like the Redbone associations? Do you like them? Do you feel like they do a good job for the Redbones?
Well, they've got.
And if you don't want to answer, just say.
They've got nationals and they've got American.
Yeah.
Why don't they just have one? Quit bickering between themselves. I tell you what, there's a lot of good Redbone people, but some so jealous it's just unreal.
Well, it's like that in the blue tick breed and some other ones too.
Yeah. Aaron's leading up to another podcast that we're going to have.
I'm setting the
he's laying the groundwork for this next one. Me and him's going to do.
Yeah.
So,
because I got a lot to say about that.
It's hard to believe Aaron's got a lot to say, ain't it?
So let me sum this up. So you started hunting, then you hunt walkers, and then you switched to Redbones. I got to make sure everybody understands this. You switched to Redbones basically for spite.
Yeah, they was razzing that boy on that red female. I thought, there's got to be some out here. And it took a lot of looking.
So, I've heard people get mad, jealous, but spite, I believe, is the first time I've ever heard anybody switching breeds is over spite.
Yeah.
Well, I used to always kind of go against the grain. When I was bow hunting hard, everybody's shooting these compounds or leases, stabilizers. I was shooting fingers and shooting a recurve, and I'd go to them 3D shoots and just beat their drawers off. They couldn't hardly take it, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Same with the red dogs. I go to hunt, I win. They don't even want to go in the clubhouse. They got beat by a Redbone.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask this question, too. I've not hunted with a lot of Redbones. Of course, a lot of us ain't because there ain't a lot around. But, I've Stan Morris has had a dog. He's pretty tight. Crow can be pretty tight. I didn't draw G-Man, but Stan drew him at Dual Nationals at Autumn Oaks, and he was tight-mouthed. That looks like a pretty common trait in the red dog, of the ones I've seen, which is only about 12.
If it wasn't the way I hunted my dogs, hunted them by themselves and nothing else, and maybe that's what made them tight. I don't know. A lot of my walker dogs was tight, same way. So I thought maybe it's the way I hunt my dogs.
Yeah.
I single them out just as soon as I can, or the Sandrock dog and Hoss dog and Crow, I started them by themselves and hunted them by themselves. So
they had no pressure on them.
I don't, maybe I'm causing it to be tight. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, most of them, my buddy had a red dog that Smith down in Arkansas bought, and she could be really tight.
But my preference, if I had to hunt a tight dog or a babbling idiot, I'll hunt that tight dog every time.
No, I don't blame you.
That babbling stuff, I've been beat several times here lately by that dog barking at the minute they're struck.
So you don't ride around when you're pleasure hunting, shooting the gun out the window, blowing a coon squall, and making bark in the box?
Will that work?
They say it'll make them bark. I don't know.
Will.
I don't know.
So you're gonna try to get your 5 wins on Crow, and then are you going to retire him
Yep.
at that point?
I'll retire him as soon as I can get to 5 wins.
Let's hope that we didn't jinx him by doing this podcast, because he's 5 wins away from being the first red dog in the Hall. I don't know how many dogs period are in the Hall of Fame, but I can't imagine there's a whole lot period of any
all
breed.
I asked was if there was any Redbones in the Hall of Fame, and they said no.
Yeah.
So I thought, man, every year I'd try to get in that TOC, so that's why I kept compiling up points and wins.
Yeah.
And I got to a certain point, I thought, shoot, I ought to try for that Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And now that I'm shooting for the Hall of Fame, it seems like me and the dog both fell apart.
Well, maybe he'll look good the early round tonight, and you can get 2 wins tonight on him, maybe. And I wish you the best of luck. I'd love to see you get your 5 wins and get him in there and retire him. I know you're trying to get it done before he has any more health failure.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to see you get it done.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You come this far, I'd like to see you get her done for sure.
Yep.
Well, if he can't handle him the second round, I'm going to take over.
I'm going to get a picture.
No, you're not. No, you're not. But if he, like I said, if he can't handle him, I'll handle him for him.
Well, that sounds good.
You heard it now.
Yeah.
We got to hold him to it.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people hurting now.
I'm a good guy. I'll help anybody.
I'm not going to edit any of that out.
No, you're fine.
Well, we made it through without Big Money Steven, so thank you for being my co-host today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. Kim, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And I wish you best of luck with your dog, and I hope you get your 5 wins and retire him.
Well, the guy told me one night, he said, that red dog got lucky. I said, yeah. But I said, he's been getting lucky a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Luck runs out eventually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll shut this thing down. We should be getting some folks showing up here shortly, and I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.